Good evening, folks. This is Andy Pedraza with Special Effects Academy. We're on the start of the week session in the Forex trading room for December 20th of 2020. We'll be going through our standard agenda today. And today I mentioned that because it is an unusual session. Usually we take the last couple of weeks of the year off, but this year is definitely not your normal year. So, standard agenda will be the prior week's results for currency strength meter for the week and month, fundamental announcements on the calendar, a look at the major pairs on the daily charts, any setups we see in progress, and a few words in conclusion. Starting with the ledger, a little bit of a recovery on the long term as we closed out some winning trades, and we are in a couple of trades right now, Aussie JPY and pound dollar. Looking for that Brexit spike once everything is said and done. So more on that later. The intermediate term ledger also very slightly up for the week. Again, on closed trades that went our way. We're still in the midst of a recovery on this account, however. So we're still playing that one by ear, but I do expect to see a boost on Brexit as well as the fallout from the US elections before our fiscal year is done. And the short-term ledger, another winning week. We were a little bit over 2.5% in profit. We've been trading this account very heavily simply because the market has been in a giving mood. Normally, we open 3 or 4 trades in any given week on the short-term account. These days, we're averaging more than 10. And that's likely to continue as long as the events continue to play out in the global geopolitical scenarios. Notes and opportunities for improvement. We continue to see a pound recovery last week as there was some last-ditch effort to bring Brexit to the finish line, and those are still ongoing. So the deliberations do continue between the UK and the EU. Deadline is still the end of the year, December 31st, and of course, the clock is ticking and time is running out. So I would expect to see some sort of outcome this week. Next week is definitely not going to be the week for that. So this week, they have 3 days to come to some sort of agreement, at least a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. The USD continues at multi-year lows. We've got 2 weeks to a hard Brexit, as I mentioned, unless they do come to some agreement. And commodities such as oil, silver, and gold do continue to shine, no pun intended. We are continuing into a very unusual December that's not expected to change. As I mentioned, we usually do take a couple of weeks off at the end of the year, not this year. I still don't know whether I'll be live trading on a regular schedule or simply trading in the background and allowing the copy trader to push out our trades. We'll see. I'm playing that by ear, so you guys will know as soon as I do. Relative strength meter for the week and month, if I may direct your attention to the rightmost columns on the monthly, and I will highlight silver. Silver is up 14% for the month. That gives you an indicator of the uncertainty in the market that's making money move into the metals. Gold also having a good month, not as good a month as silver, but still it's almost at 6%. And that is in 2 weeks, well, 3 weeks now that we have in the month and 2 weeks left. This is a 5-week month, I guess. Silver for the week was more than 7% up. Gold was 2% in the currencies. Not as deep movements. We've seen some back and forth, especially with the pound. The pound goes up, goes down, depending on which week we're looking at. The market already opened as I'm recording this session, and the pound pairs did gap into pound weakness. So they gapped about 100 pips each down from where they ended on Friday. So we're starting the week with that bit of a slump, and it's obvious reasons. The closer we get to the end of the year with no agreement, the more stress is going to be laid on the pound. I still expect the pound to recover at some point, even if nothing happens and they do a hard Brexit and the sky falls and whatever. I think that the dire scenarios have been excessively priced into the pound. So there's only upside at this point, and we'll continue to play it in that direction. Other significant movements, Aussie dollar, and indeed the dollar pairs in general, most of them did break out and are at multi-year highs or multi-year lows, depending which side of the currency pair the dollar is in. So we can see that Aussie dollar is up almost 4% for the month, and the Aussie itself has been gaining strength significantly as well. Euro dollar is up almost 3% for the month and 1% alone last week. That is a huge movement for the euro dollar, and that's on the back of similar weeks in the recent past, having the euro dollar now at a breakout. Kiwi dollar, same thing, breakout. USD CAD not having as much luck, though it does continue to appreciate against the dollar. USD Swiss also in a breakout. USD JPY also struggling for that breakout, but finally managed last week, and we'll see how the new week treats the dollar. Again, the markets are usually quiet this time of year. This is the exception, and we plan on trading it that way. Fundamental announcements for the week: nothing tradable, nothing that I would actually live trade, but that is the calendar right now. A few GDP announcements out of the US, the monetary policy meetings from the prior month out of the Bank of Japan, GDP out of Canada, and durable goods orders out of the US. So nothing that will be live traded. Moving on to our charts, we can see, and I mentioned this already in our notes and opportunities slide, oil continues to rise. It's finally broken out of that sideways channel it was trapped in for so long, breaking past 45 and indeed now getting towards $50 a barrel on the West Texas crude index. So that's where we are right now. We're starting to see prices not seen since before the collapse in March. And well, this again, the uncertainty is driving the commodities market right now. Moving on to the currencies. I said, moving on to the currencies. There we go. So euro dollar, you can see the breakout I was mentioning. It's at its highest in the visible portion of the chart, which goes back to March. And indeed, it's at its highest multi-year high right now, at least 2 years back to find a higher price for the euro dollar. So we're in breakout territory. Pound dollar is the same. It was in breakout territory when the week ended on Friday. Looks like the gapping may have brought it back underneath the previous high, but not by much. It's still in a decided upswing and breaking out. And if anything good comes out of the Brexit deliberations, this thing is going to just skyrocket. So be on the lookout for that. USD JPY, as I mentioned, was struggling to break that final level of support. It did manage it on Friday. I'm not sure how it's starting the week. I haven't looked at that chart, and there is still one low at the 101.10 to be taken out, which is about 215 pips away. So that is the next target for us to say that USD JPY is in a breakout. USD CAD already in breakout territory, did a little bit of a dance last week where it really couldn't get a handle on the dollar. We had some Canadian weakness as well. So it's popped back above resistance, but it's still at the lowest it's been in the visible portion of the chart. And indeed, it was at its lowest now, or has been at its lowest for a couple of weeks. So every week it's giving us a lower low. USD Swiss also in a breakout and giving us a lower low every single day. So this is pretty much one of the pairs we've been trading or have open trades on for a few weeks now, and we'll continue with that. It definitely looks like it's going to be a solid moneymaker. Bear with me, my chart seems to have frozen. There we go. Aussie dollar breakout territory, also in a breakout for a few weeks now and continuing to climb. Another one that we are very avidly trading, along with the Kiwi dollar. Same thing, breakout territory. Indeed, it broke out more than a month ago. This was one of the earliest dollar pairs to break out from its previous high, somewhere in the neighborhood of 68 cents. It's now trading 400 pips, 300 pips above that, and shows no sign of stopping. That's it for the dollar pairs. Aussie Canadian also in breakout territory as of last Friday. We'll see if it continues heading up as the week kicks off. This was one of our profitable trades on the short term account as well. And we'll have to see if we're going to be jumping back in. Euro Swiss is very topsy turvy. We've been ignoring the Euro Swiss for, I think, more than a month now. It's just not doing much. We have to wait for it to catch its sea legs or find its sea legs. But right now, I would continue to stay away from this pair. Euro pound, of course, subject to the vagaries of Brexit, and even assuming, well, just if Brexit goes either way, the impact to the Eurozone is going to be as dismal or as good as the impact to the UK. So the likelihood of the Euro pound breaking out, it's not impossible, but it's probably going to be a swing pair in that it's going to be bouncing from the top of the channel to the bottom, but not giving us too much of a breakout, of course. That's simply my assumption. I will trade whatever it happens to be doing, but I'm not looking for breakouts out of this pair just yet. Euro JPY almost, but not quite breaking out. It has one more high to take out before it goes into uncharted territory. And we've got a previous high on the chart at the 127.30, which would be the next target for it to break for us to start piling in long. I don't think that's in the cards. I think the higher likelihood is we're going to see a bounce off of resistance and a drop towards the Ichimoku cloud, or perhaps even deeper. And we already have pending orders in place for that scenario. Euro Canadian heading towards the top of its most recent range and not yet breaking out, but heading in that direction. Had a pretty bullish week. Again, more on Canadian weakness than anything else. And we'll have to see what the new week brings us. Pound JPY also very near the top. A couple of levels of resistance to go before it breaks the top. And again, this is a pound pair, so it would be entirely dependent on Brexit. Aussie JPY breaking out very sluggishly, but the breakout nonetheless off the top. The Aussie has been having a very good run. We'll have to see if it has the strength to continue it, but so far it is looking good. Euro New Zealand, this is one where I'm waiting for a breakout from the bottom. It's very close. It broke that next to last level of support a couple of weeks back, and I'm looking for an opportunity to trade it down. Pound Canadian, it's a pound pair. What can I say? We're waiting for a breakout towards the top on the slightest good news of Brexit, but the likelihood of that this late in the Brexit cycle is starting to get a little bit slim. That said, as I mentioned before, I think the downside has been priced into the pound already, and I don't think it has that much further to drop. Pound Swiss pair sideways channel for quite a while now. It did try to break out towards the top of the channel, but didn't quite manage it. Friday, it went back down. And of course, this new week is beginning with a gap towards the downside. So we'll have to see if the pound manages to get a little bit of wind in its sails this week. Maybe next week, but again, we'll have to wait and watch it happen. And last but not least, pound Aussie, also very near the bottommost level of support, probably back down there after the gapping today. I'll have to check on this pair. And again, I think the downside has already been priced in. So most of these pound pairs have only one direction to go, and that is up. A few exceptions there, or maybe a couple of exceptions, not a few, but still, this is a pair I've been liking more and more in the past few months. That's it for the chart setups we see in progress as the week begins. Of course, Brexit for the UK. In the US, we continue seeing the election fallout and massive dollar weakness. The Kiwi is breaking out against the USD. In fact, it's the oldest breakout we have right now, and it shows no sign of stopping. The Swiss pairs, the Swiss is also breaking out against the dollar, and we'll have to see how far the fact that the Swiss are a safe haven is going to continue to drive that collapse of the USD Swiss. The United States last week accused Switzerland of gaming, rigging their currency. So there's that as well in the markets. Of course, the Swiss have denied it, but that is still casting a little bit of a gloom since when the US does say something like that, it's usually followed by some sort of retaliation or penalties or sanctions or whatever. So be on the lookout for that. And last but not least, the euro also breaking out, not as strongly as I would have expected, all things considered, but still a breakout ongoing right now, which is definitely a tradable event. That's it. Final words here in conclusion. And of course, anything that's going on, it is Brexit. We're coming down to the wire on Brexit, a situation that the UK should never have allowed to get to the point where it is right now. But hey, it's 2020. And that means that even Brexit is not the weirdest thing happening right now. Contested US elections, round 99 or whatever it is of COVID. We're on our second or third full lockdown in the UK. No Christmas for you, UK. Sorry, try again next year. And there is massive uncertainty in the markets at the same time as we're having what looks to be the biggest bubble since the year 2000. US stock markets at record highs. Bitcoin breaking above its previous high of 20,000 by a fair margin right now, proving that there is no shortage of idiots out there in the world. I do expect a massive reset at some point, sparked by whatever. All it takes is one simple bad result somewhere, and you're going to see a collapse, the likes of which we haven't seen since around 2008. So, as always, what does that mean? Trade very carefully, but trade. That's how we make our money. And remember, as traders, we can make money on the way up and we can make money on the way down. That doesn't mean we're going to make money every single day or every week or every month. This is a numbers game. But if you know what you're doing, the opportunities that are going to be in the markets in the next month, 2 months, 3 months are going to be huge. Take advantage of them. I always tell people in these kinds of market times that this happens with some regularity every 10 years, every 8 years, every 15 years. I don't know. But hey, it's years in between one of these really good market periods. So take advantage of it, milk it for all it's worth, because the next one might be 10 years away. So fatten up your bank accounts, grab as much of it as you can so that you can live happily until the next one comes around. But always trade safely. Trade safely. Thank you, folks. That's going to be it for me tonight. Any comments or questions before we drop off? Okay, folks, thank you very much. That's a wrap. We will be having our normal sessions at least tomorrow. Again, I'm playing it by ear, so if I change anything in the schedule, those of you who are my subscribers, you will get the announcement via email. Otherwise, the rest of you people here, God bless you. Merry Christmas, and I guess I'll talk to you next Sunday when I do next week's start. Thank you very much. Goodbye.